Imagine a world teetering on the edge of chaos, where nations rose to fight for survival, ideologies clashed with devastating consequences, and humanity faced its darkest and most heroic moments. This is the story of World War II, the deadliest conflict in human history. Today on ComLearn, we'll unravel the epic tale of courage, tragedy, and resilience that shaped our world forever. The seeds of World War II were sown in the aftermath of the First World War. The Treaty of Versailles in 1919 humiliated Germany, burdening it with reparations and stripping it of territories. Meanwhile, the Great Depression of the 1930s left nations grappling with poverty, unemployment, and discontent. Amidst this turmoil rose Adolf Hitler, a charismatic yet dangerous leader who promised to restore Germany's former glory. His words resonated with a broken nation, and in 1933, Hitler became chancellor. He once declared, "If you tell a big enough lie and tell it frequently enough, it will be believed." Simultaneously, Japan sought dominance in Asia, invading Manchuria in 1931 and later China in 1937. Italy, under Benito Mussolini, pursued expansion in Africa. The Axis powers, Germany, Italy, and Japan, were forming, driven by imperial ambitions and a hunger for power. On September 1st, 1939, Germany invaded Poland, prompting Britain and France to declare war. World War II had officially begun. Using a strategy called blitzkrieg, or lightning war, Germany quickly overwhelmed its enemies with speed and surprise. In 1940, Hitler's forces swept through Denmark, Norway, Belgium, and France. Britain stood alone, with Prime Minister Winston Churchill delivering his iconic speech. "We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender." Meanwhile, in the Pacific, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941. This act brought the United States into the war, as President Franklin D. Roosevelt famously proclaimed, "Yesterday, December 7, 1941, a date which will live in infamy, the United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked." The war reached a critical juncture in 1942. In Europe, the Battle of Stalingrad marked the beginning of Germany's decline. Soviet forces, under brutal conditions, turned the tide against Hitler's army. Joseph Stalin described their resolve, "Not one step back." In the Pacific, the Battle of Midway proved decisive for the Allies. U.S. forces dealt a crippling blow to the Japanese Navy, shifting momentum in their favor. Meanwhile, the Holocaust unfolded, a horrifying campaign of genocide where 6 million Jews and millions of others were systematically murdered by the Nazi regime. General Dwight D. Eisenhower, upon witnessing the concentration camps, remarked, "The things I saw beggar description. The visual evidence and the verbal testimony of starvation, cruelty, and bestiality were so overpowering." By 1944, Allied forces launched D-Day, the largest amphibious invasion in history, storming the beaches of Normandy. This operation marked the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany. In 1945, as Allied troops advanced on Berlin, Hitler retreated to his bunker and committed suicide. Germany surrendered on May 7, 1945. In the Pacific, the U.S. dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945, forcing Japan to surrender. The devastation was immense, and Robert Oppenheimer, the scientist behind the atomic bomb, famously quoted the Bhagavad Gita, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." World War II left over 70 million dead, cities in ruins, and nations scarred. But it also paved the way for a new global order. The United Nations was established to promote peace and prevent future conflicts. The war also highlighted the importance of standing against tyranny and valuing human dignity. World War II was a stark reminder of humanity's capacity for both destruction and heroism. It taught us that unchecked hatred, greed, and indifference can lead to unimaginable suffering. But it also revealed the strength of unity, courage, and hope. As Winston Churchill once said, "To each, there comes in their lifetime a special moment when they are figuratively tapped on the shoulder and offered the chance to do a very special thing, unique to their talents." What a tragedy if that moment finds them unprepared for that which could have been their finest hour. So as we reflect on this history, let's ask ourselves, what can we do today to build a world where such a conflict never happens again? How can we ensure the sacrifices of the past guide us to a brighter future?